Even though we've just seen a storm make its way and still try to make its way off the east coast for us here, we've got another big storm getting ready to push in from Canada, bringing some cooler air relief, but also some dangerous storms out ahead of it. Let's go ahead and cover that in this One Nation weather forecast for America. The video date is July 1st, 2023. I'm talking about the forecast through the upcoming week, and you can see this departing low pressure system making its way through the central and eastern part of the country will still bring some storms to portions of the south and east through the rest of the week, but notice this storm originating in portions of Alaska, now moving through Canada in the picture, and then making its way towards the Great Lakes region. While the energy will be especially centered up in Canada, that will not matter. We'll see a cold front draping its way across portions of the United States this week. Now subscribe, hit the like button, and let's go ahead and get right into the forecast. Starting with your Sunday, you can see we've got a severe weather risk zone continuing for portions of Tennessee and Indiana, as we've been having this ring of fire weather pattern. Now we'll see some of that severe weather shift eastward as well into the mid-Atlantic, with the Appalachian chain from Maine back into portions of Ohio and West Virginia seeing a flooding threat as well. A lot of rain and storms into portions of the southern tier of the country. Notice that is system number one, but system number two is this new piece of energy working out of the Pacific Northwest, and will eventually be making its way off towards the southeast, producing more storms as the week goes on. Now notice not too much activity back off towards the plains, just some level 1 risk zones for here Montana, Minnesota, and North Dakota, and then back into portions of Nebraska down to the Texas Panhandle. The level 2 zone is going to be from portions of the Mississippi River, the lower Mississippi River Valley, I should say, all the way on over to the mid-Atlantic and that Delmarva region for us here. And starting off with the southern zone, you can see some of these pop-up storms getting going, looking quite feisty for us here, producing those 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts, as well as that 1 to 2 inch hail in diameter. So certainly something to keep an eye on. As the day goes on, we'll continue to see these storms develop even into the Sunday evening time frame. Notice how they're more of that popcorn variety, but when you get some of these popcorn storms to get going, every now and then one of them can spurt out some of those damaging wind gusts as well as hailstones, which is why we're not necessarily looking at a tornado risk, because these are going to be more of that popcorn variety, not the supercells. As we go to Sunday afternoon as well into portions of the Ohio Valley and Northeast, we'll see storms push off from the west to the east for us here, bringing some heavy rainfall with a warm front out ahead of it as well, which is why we have that flooding threat from Ohio and West Virginia making its way through portions of Vermont, New Hampshire, Mount Washington, all the way on up into portions of southwest Maine. Now, as we work our way into our Monday, notice how that cold front's still producing some showers and storms along the east coast, just an unsettled pop-up variety storm weather pattern for us here. Notice how we'll start to see some of these new storms fire back on off into the plains. Again, there's system number 1 on the east coast, system number 2 now entering the Dakotas for us here on your Monday. Notice how it will not be the biggest severe weather risk, but certainly a level 1 risk for some of that wind and hail, and maybe some tornadoes as well, getting going into the Dakotas, Minnesota, back off into Montana and Wyoming, and then a new level 1 risk, a continuing level 1 risk along portions of the east and southeastern zones. So there's that Monday late afternoon pattern, some of these storms entering the Dakotas and Minnesota, with some scattered shower and storm coverage continuing into portions of the east. Now I do have that severe certainty on Monday at a level 2 threat into portions of North Dakota and South Dakota for us here. Certainly something to keep an eye on. This is my forecast to keep note. Now Tuesday afternoon, this is your 4th of July. Notice how temperatures on the cooler side when compared to average into portions of the Dakotas and Minnesota as that front shifts off towards the south and east. But look at this heat, 90s out ahead of it in the east, with some also higher readings back off towards the west coast where the front will miss us here. Now there it is. There's that front draping out of Canada, entering the Great Lakes region, or the western part of it anyway, as we go into Tuesday afternoon. Some of these central plains zones like Nebraska getting in on the storms, as more pop-up variety storms continuing the south and east. So Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Missouri, you might have a level 1 risk from those storms, but it's looking like a 2 out of 4 chance, that medium certainty for some severe weather into portions of Nebraska, South Dakota, as well as into Minnesota and Iowa. Now as we go towards Wednesday late afternoon, more of these storms develop from Wisconsin and Michigan back into the plains, as we keep some scattered storms in the southeast, which is why we're looking at that level 1 out of 4 risk there. But I've got this new risk draping from Iowa and Illinois back into Kansas on Wednesday. Then here we go, moving into our Thursday. The cold front continues pushing southward and eastward, drying and cooling down into portions of the central plains, so that will be welcome relief there. But new storms making their way from portions of western New York, Buffalo region, portions of Erie, PA, and then all the way back down towards, say, eastern Texas, Dallas zone getting in on these storms, which is why there's the level 2 risk in those areas. As we go into your Thursday afternoon, notice we also have more of those pop-up storms that could be severe in the southeast. And then here we go into our Friday, making its way right up to that east coast. So really your entire July 4th week covered with chances of storms in some part of the country as that cold front continues progressing eastward. That's why I at least have level 1 certainty for some severe weather. That goes from Maine, crawls all the way back through portions of West Virginia as well as Virginia itself, then back into Alabama, Mississippi, and off towards Oklahoma and Texas. So here's the look at that cooler air diving on down. Look at how each day, once those storms get going, it intensifies in those zones, pushing on off towards the east, but really not making its way on up into the north and east. So as it looks right now, this colder air, let's play that back one more time, blasting its way and really continuing into portions of the plains, not making its way much further past the Midwest and the Southeast, though. So here's the severe certainty day by day. Monday in the northern plains, Tuesday central and northern plains, Wednesday into the Midwest, Thursday into the Ohio Valley and back down through portions of the Arklatex, and then Friday up to the East Coast. So here's your headlines recap. Significant storm system coming yet again. Severe weather will gradually push east with this. Heat relief as temperatures fall to normal and below normal levels, and areas further northeast will miss the cool air as it looks right now. Thanks so much for watching. Go ahead and check out my July 2023 forecast. The link for that in the description. It is also under the month outlooks tab. Thank you so much for watching, and here are the credits.